You opened the fridge 20 minutes ago. You weren't hungry then. You're not really hungry now. But something pulled you back, and here you are, staring into the cold light again. That pull isn't weakness. It isn't boredom. It is one of the oldest survival systems ever built by evolution, running inside your body right now, completely unaware that the famine it has been preparing for is never going to come. Your body does not know what year it is. It does not know about supermarkets or delivery apps, or the fact that you ate 2 hours ago. It knows something far more ancient. It knows that food is uncertain. It knows that fat stores equal survival. And it has spent hundreds of thousands of years getting very, very good at making you eat more than you need. This is not a character flaw. This is engineering. To understand what is happening inside you, you have to go back. Not a few decades, not a few centuries. You have to go back to a version of the world where the next meal was never guaranteed, where winters were brutal, where drought could erase an entire region's food supply in a single season. Your ancestors lived in that world for almost all of human existence. And the ones who survived were not the ones with the most willpower. They were the ones whose bodies were best at storing energy when it was available and conserving it when it was not. You are the descendant of those survivors. Their biology is your biology. Their hunger is your hunger. The system your body uses to manage energy is ancient and extraordinarily complex. At its center is a hormone called leptin. Leptin is produced by your fat cells, and its job is to signal to your brain that you have enough stored energy, that you can stop eating, that the situation is under control. In a world of reliable food, this works beautifully. Leptin rises, appetite falls, balance is maintained. But here is the problem. Your body has a deep evolutionary asymmetry in how it responds to leptin. Researcher Jeffrey Friedman at Rockefeller University, who discovered leptin in 1994, described this asymmetry in detail. When leptin levels drop, your brain responds with enormous urgency. Hunger intensifies. Energy expenditure drops. Your body enters a state of alert, mobilizing every system it has to make you find food. When leptin levels rise, though, the response is far more muted. Your brain does not celebrate abundance. It simply waits. Because in the ancient world, abundance was temporary. Famine was the baseline threat, and your brain was built to take it seriously. This is the first way your body is still waiting for a famine that isn't coming. It responds to the fear of shortage with far more power than it responds to actual plenty. There is a second system at work, and it lives in the reward circuitry of your brain. When your ancestors encountered calorie-dense food, particularly foods high in sugar, fat, and salt, their brains released dopamine. Not a little, a lot. Enough to create a powerful drive to eat as much of that food as possible, as fast as possible, because food like that was rare and the opportunity might not return. Researcher Kent Barridge at the University of Michigan spent decades mapping this system, and what he found was startling. The wanting and the liking of food are controlled by entirely different brain circuits. Your brain can make you desperately want something even after you stop enjoying it. The wanting circuit is ancient, reflexive, and difficult to override. It was built for a world where the right response to a berry bush in full fruit was to eat until you couldn't eat anymore. You do not live near a berry bush. You live near a pantry, and the pantry never empties. But your brain does not know that. It is still firing the same signals, generating the same urgency, as if every meal might be your last for a while. Consider what happens in your body the moment you finish a large meal. You feel full, temporarily satisfied, but within hours, the signals begin shifting. Your stomach empties, ghrelin rises. Ghrelin is often called the hunger hormone, and its profile reveals everything about the priorities of the ancient system. Ghrelin does not just make you feel hungry. Research led by Thomas Horvath at Yale School of Medicine showed that ghrelin actively rewires the circuits in your hypothalamus, strengthening the connections that drive food-seeking behavior and weakening the ones that support restraint. Your brain, under the influence of ghrelin, is literally being restructured to make food seem more important. Colors get brighter when you look at food images. Smells become more vivid. Your attention narrows. You are, in the most biological sense, becoming a more efficient hunter. The tragedy of this system in the modern world is not that it exists. The tragedy is that it exists without the environment it was designed for. In the ancestral world, fat storage was a gift. Every calorie your body managed to hold onto was a small insurance policy against the next drought, the next failed hunt, the next brutal winter. The ability to store fat efficiently was not a liability. It was the difference between a lineage that continued and one that didn't. Evolution is ruthless about this. Bodies that wasted energy were selected against. Bodies that hoarded it were selected for. Your metabolism is the product of that selection pressure, refined over hundreds of thousands of years. Now place that metabolism in a world of permanent caloric abundance, ultra-processed food engineered to be as palatable as possible, and almost zero physical effort required to obtain any of it. The ancient system has not changed, but the environment it's operating in has transformed completely. In an eye blink of evolutionary time, roughly 10,000 years since the agricultural revolution and less than 100 years since the industrialization of food. Your body is running ancient software on a completely different operating system, and the software is behaving exactly as it was designed to. It is storing. It is craving. It is driving you back to the fridge at 10 at night for no reason you can explain. This mismatch between an ancient system and a modern environment has a name in evolutionary medicine. It is called an evolutionary mismatch. And researchers like Daniel Lieberman at Harvard University have argued that most of the chronic diseases of the modern world, obesity, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, are in large part the predictable result of ancient adaptations colliding with a food environment they were never designed for. Lieberman makes a careful but striking point. He is not saying that these conditions are inevitable. He is saying they are understandable. They are not the result of personal failure. They are the result of biology doing exactly what it evolved to do, in a context where doing so causes harm. Think about what your body is actually afraid of when it drives you to eat. It is not trying to make you uncomfortable. It is trying to make sure you survive the winter that, in your body's ancient model of the world, is always just around the corner. It is trying to make sure your children survive. It is trying to make sure the lineage does not end here. With this particular body, in this particular moment of scarcity that, evolutionarily speaking, is always just arriving. The famine never comes, but your body keeps preparing. There is something almost poignant about that. A system of extraordinary sophistication, refined by millions of years of pressure, doing its job with perfect devotion, in a world where its job is no longer needed in the same way. Your fat cells, your hunger hormones, your dopamine circuits, your ghrelin surges, all of them working in concert, all of them trying to keep you alive, none of them aware that the crisis they are bracing for has been solved. You cannot reprogram this system with willpower alone. That is like trying to talk your immune system out of an allergic reaction. The signals are deeper than conscious thought. They are older than language. They are older than the concept of a grocery store by so many orders of magnitude that the comparison doesn't hold. What you can do is understand them. And understanding changes something, even if it doesn't change everything. When you feel the pull back to the fridge, that is not weakness. That is one of the most successful survival adaptations in the history of your species, running at full power. When you crave something sweet at the end of a meal, that is a brain circuit built over hundreds of thousands of years to make sure you seized caloric opportunity when it appeared. When you feel hungry again an hour after eating, that is ghrelin restructuring your neural priorities exactly as evolution designed it to. None of this means you are helpless. It means you are working with systems of ancient intelligence, not against a character flaw. And knowing the difference is, in the most practical sense, the beginning of any real change. You open that fridge tonight for the same reason your ancestors scanned the horizon for food 10,000 years ago. The horizon is different now. The hunger is the same. Your body is still waiting for the famine. The famine isn't coming. But now, at least, you know why it keeps asking.